Hey everyone, welcome to a special bonus episode, number 305 of the All Dolphins podcast for this Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. As promised, even though we are on a reduced schedule because of the time of the year, we did promise that whenever the Dolphins made moves that warranted some analysis and made news, that we would do additional episodes. So here we are with this episode where we are going to be diving into the addition of veteran safety Marcus Maye, last of the New Orleans Saints, previously of the New York Jets, as well as the news late Tuesday afternoon of the signing of second-round pick Patrick Paul. Before we get to that, yes, there will be a quick history lesson. This is episode 305. Therefore, we will look back quickly at the 2005 season, which was the first in Miami for head coach Nick Sabin, who, of course, was hired after he had coached at LSU. The hiring occurring around Christmas time the previous year, I want to say. Nick Sabin came in with a lot of hopes, a lot of expectations, and let's just say his 2-year tenure didn't pan out as expected, as hoped, although it was difficult to tell after the way things kicked off with the Dolphins' first game under Nick Sabin being a 34-10 win against the Denver Broncos in Miami, a game punctuated by Jason Taylor returning a fumble for a touchdown on the last play of the game. Before that, there was a 2005 draft, which was known as the running back draft, where 3 of the top 5 picks were running backs: Ronnie Brown, Cedric Benson, and Cadillac Williams. The Dolphins had the second overall pick as the result of their 4-12 finish of 2004. And after Alex Smith went first to the San Francisco 49ers, the quarterback from Utah, the Dolphins could have had any quarterback left in the draft, including Aaron Rodgers. But instead, Nick Saban chose to go with veteran journeyman Gus Frerotte. Dolphins took Ronnie Brown at number 2 overall. Ronnie Brown had a good, solid NFL career. Probably not worthy of being the number 2 overall pick, because if you're going to be a running back taken that high, it has to be more than just solid or even good as a career. It has to be borderline exceptional or great, and that wasn't the case. That 2005 season went sideways pretty quickly for the Dolphins, who, after winning their opener, eventually found themselves at 3-7 before they made a turnaround. Did wind up 9-7. To have a winning record. Chris Chambers had a monumental, memorable day in a December game against the Buffalo Bills when Frerotte was injured early in the second quarter, early in the third quarter, I want to say. Sage Rosenfels, the backup, came into the game. Chris Chambers led the rally from a 23-3 deficit to a 24-23 win, 15 catches, 238 yards on that day. But this year was about Nick Saban and all the changes and his transition, and Dolphins transition from Cam Cameron to Nick Saban. Nick Saban, who was a brilliant X's and O's guy, really had an issue with dealing with NFL players. The story of Zach Thomas getting in his face and basically telling him, "You ever talk to me like that again, I'm going to deck you," has been well documented by now. There were other issues as well. Nick Saban, the way he was talking to staffers. One story that stands out that made the rounds, dealt in when something like this, a administrative assistant in the office, female, told him his hair looked nice one particular day, and then basically Nick Saban got word to her through somebody else she was never to speak to him unless spoken to first. So let's just say Nick Saban wasn't necessarily a people person. Brilliant X's and O's, which he certainly proved at Alabama after he left. So in terms of individual performances, it was more of the same from JT and Zach Taylor. JT and Zach Thomas. Interesting to mention here with Jason Taylor, his career took a little turn under Nick Saban in that he became an outside linebacker after being a defensive end, and he certainly flourished, not in 2005, but in 2005, even more so in 2006, when he became the NFL Defensive Player of the Year under Nick Saban, despite a disappointing season. So that's our quick history lesson. Now on to the big news. The Dolphins making a veteran addition. It's the first time in a couple of years that they have signed a player in June. This time it was Marcus Maye. As we mentioned, played for the Jets, played for the Saints. Marcus Maye is a starter Per his career credentials, he has played 77 games in 7 NFL seasons, 5 with the Jets, 2 with the Saints, started every game he has played. There have been injury issues, along with a 3-game suspension last year while with the Saints for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Also had a shoulder injury, which contributed to him playing only 7 games last year. Did have 2 picks. That gave him 8 for his career. And it matches career high for a season total of 2. Dolphin fans may remember him from his time with the Jets. Marcus Maye actually had some pretty good years with the Jets, most notably 18, 19, and 20. In 2020, he was good enough that the Jets players selected him as their team MVP in a vote by the team. And then after that season, he was scheduled to become an unrestricted free agent, and the Jets put the franchise tag on him because they didn't want to lose him. So he re-signed, played 2021 on the franchise tag after signing the tag, eventually left as a free agent for the Saints on a 3-year deal in 2022. We had what happened last year when his play in those games that he did participate in wasn't quite up to par what he had shown during his best years with the Jets. So this offseason, February 29th to be precise, the Saints wound up releasing him, and now the Dolphins signed him. He was one of many, many safeties available on the market, and I'm sure this is where Dolphin fans are going to be like, why Marcus Maye? Why not Justin Simmons? Well, the answer there pretty clearly is that Justin Simmons would have been a lot more pricey. The other answer here is maybe in the way that the Dolphins plan on using Marcus Maye, and we can assume he's going to make the team. I think I saw some folks on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, suggesting, well, first he has to make the team. I think it's a pretty safe assumption that he's going to make the team. But there might be a thought in mind here with the Dolphins acquiring him. First of all, let's just point out that the Dolphins safety room now with his acquisition includes Marcus Maye, fellow veteran newcomer Jordan Poyer, and we've talked about Jordan Poyer quite a bit on the podcast over the last weeks and months. And the deal with Jordan Poyer is he was a very good addition because, number one, he was very low cost. He's got intangibles off the charts, leadership, the tenacity, determination, the bulldogness in his game, the mentorship aspect he can bring to Javon Holland, who is another one. Budding star may be the way to describe Javon Holland. He is heading into his contract year. He's not been to the Pro Bowl yet. He's one of those players that's had Pro Bowl written all over him for a while, projected as a future Pro Bowl player. Maybe Jordan Poyer's addition, influence, mentorship gets him to that level. Maybe certainly the added motivation of playing for a new contract, if he doesn't sign an extension before then, would perhaps help him get to that level. But in those three, Dolphins have a pretty good trio right now because even if Marcus Maye is maybe not quite the player he was in his best year with the Jets, same with Jordan Poyer in his best year with the Bills, they're still both guys who should be solid. Along with those three, we have Elijah Campbell, who's kind of a versatile piece in the secondary in that he can play cornerback, he can play safety, also valuable on special teams. We also have rookie 6th-round pick Patrick McMorris, and we have rookie free agent Mark Perry, and I haven't mentioned Nick Needham, who figures to get some snaps as a slot corner, perhaps battle for that position with Kader Kohu, and also potentially as a conversion to safety, although maybe that's not as likely to happen on a full-time basis now that the Dolphins have signed Marcus Maye. This is where I brought up the idea of a plan in mind. Anthony Weaver is a new defensive coordinator, as all Dolphin fans know. As all Dolphin fans know, he came over from the Baltimore Ravens. And what did the Baltimore Ravens do a lot of in 2023 when they had one of the best defenses in the NFL? They used 3 safeties quite extensively. In fact, I did research today because that's what I do. In terms of overall snaps by the top 3 safeties on every NFL team in 2023, the Baltimore Ravens came in at number 2 in terms of volume with 2,524 snaps between Geno Stone Kyle Hamilton, and Marcus Williams. The only team with more, with 2610, was the Seattle Seahawks with Quandre Diggs, Julian Love, and Jamal Adams, who total, like I said, 2610. For comparison purposes, the Dolphins' top three safeties in terms of snaps combined for 2099, and those three, of course, were Deshaun Elliott, Javon Holland, and Brandon Jones. Javon Elliott now in Pittsburgh, Brandon Jones now in Denver. So what we can very well see is the Dolphins using a lot of three safety looks on defense. This is where you could be three defensive linemen, three linebackers, five DBs. You could go 4-2-5, but perhaps instead of having a nickel, perhaps instead of having Nick Needham and or Kader Kohu on the field, you would be dealing with the three safeties. There will be times it could be, again, 4-1-6, 3-2-6, a whole lot of variations they can do, but the bottom line is don't be surprised to see the Dolphins employ three safeties quite a bit with Marcus Maye, Jordan Poyer, and Javon Holland. The addition of Marcus Maye also could perhaps lighten the load on Jordan Poyer. Perhaps those two guys do some sort of rotation system where Jordan Poyer isn't asked to play or to carry a full load as a starter. And again, this is a guy who, per our discussion with Tim Graham of The Athletic in Buffalo, kind of lost a little bit of a step last year, which is to be expected considering the fact that he's about 33 years old. So this is a good, solid veteran the Dolphins acquired, Marcus Maye. We haven't seen the numbers yet as far as what his contract will look like. Best guess, probably, again, based on the way the Dolphins have done business this offseason, would be a one-year contract, void year to spread out the signing bonus, low cap number. And again, we're in June. Generally speaking, you're not getting Pro Bowl type players at this time of year, although as far as safety is concerned, there are a couple of guys. Jamal Adams once made the Pro Bowl. So has Justin Simmons. They're still on the market. Jamal Adams, though, the last couple of years hasn't been quite as good as your Jamal Adams from the Jets after moving to Seattle. And then Justin Simmons, maybe a price tag issue involved here. And maybe certainly the Dolphins have not shown a propensity to sign guys for huge money this particular offseason. So all in all, it's a solid move. We kind of had an inkling the Dolphins would do something at safety because they were a little bit thin. Now, if the move means that Nick Needham becomes a fullback cornerback again, does that lessen the need for perhaps additional depth at cornerback? Yeah, it's kind of a valid point that could be made there. Dolphins have Jalen Ramsey. They have Kendall Fuller. They have second-year player Cam Smith, with everybody hoping he takes a next step or a big step forward in 2024 after what was kind of a washout season last year as a rookie second-round pick. You have Ethan Bonner, who wound up getting himself into some games after arriving as a rookie free agent out of Stanford, who showed some promise. And then you have your two slot corners, Kader Kohu and Nick Needham. It does lessen the need for additional help at cornerback. Doesn't mean the Dolphins won't go out and get somebody between now and the start of training camp or between now and the start of the regular season. But I think it helps alleviate that a little bit now that you can move Nick Needham, back to cornerback and the slot on a more permanent basis after the addition of Marcus Maye. So this is a very good, solid move for the Dolphins at this time of year. The next thing we need to talk about as well is the signing of tackle Patrick Paul, the second-round pick from the University of Houston. We have gone to the point where, because of the CBA and the rookie contracts pretty much being slotted, where there's kind of a chart. You look second-round pick, 55th overall pick. It's 4 years. This signing bonus, this is going to take up this cap space, this salary. It will increase every year. This is why you don't see like rookie holdouts are kind of a thing of the past. And then so if you're wondering, well, what's their negotiate? There are things like bonuses or offset language. Offset language is if you get cut and you get picked up by another team, does your salary now just move over to your other team, or does your previous team still pay you, and then you get the additional money from your second team? But again, those are very rare. So this is why there's usually not any major issues when you see an unsigned draft pick. The Dolphins have first round pick Chop Robinson left to sign, and there was a question on Twitter. I was asked if we should be concerned because we're in June now and he's still not signed. And my thought is no, there is no reason for concern. The Dolphins were not in a position. I'm going to be careful how I say this. Because of salary cap consideration, the Dolphins could not complete their entire rookie class signing before they got the Xavier Howard cap space of $18.5 million. Because during the off season up until the regular season, the top 51 cap numbers count against the cap limit, and the Dolphins had less than $2 million of cap space left. Chop Robinson's cap number for his first year is going to be somewhere around 2.3, 2.4 mil. So the Dolphins could not accommodate his cap number until they got the Xavier Howard money. They could have signed the previous 5 picks, which they did last week before the start of the mini camp. Those 5 being Jalen Wright, Mohamed Kamara, Malik Washington, Patrick McMorris, and Taj Washington. I believe they could have squeezed in Patrick Paul had they wanted to before June as well. But again, we're talking formalities here at this point. So no major issue there. Patrick Paul, we've discussed him before. More than likely, he's going to wind up using 2024 as sort of a redshirt year. Is it possible he gets onto the field for significant snaps in the regular season? Anything's possible. I think the plan is to bring him along, have him learn behind Teron Armstead and fellow veteran tackle Kendall Lamb. I would think Kendall Lamb is not only your leader in the clubhouse to be the swing backup tackle. I would think he would have a pretty wide lead at this time. And if Patrick Paul winds up on the field in 2024, it would be more because of some kind of an emergency as opposed to anything else. Of course, if Patrick Paul accelerates the learning curve and winds up showing the coaches through training camp in the preseason that while he's ready to make a contribution early, hey, all the better. But I think when the Dolphins drafted Paul, the idea was that's our left tackle of the future. If he has to sit and learn as a rookie, so be it. No major issue. So that's pretty much it. Again, these were the 2 major news items coming out. We already discussed on the episode 304 with Chris Perkins that, or had it not come out, that Tua's brother, Taulia, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name, signed a contract with the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the CFL after getting tryouts at rookie minicamp for the Chiefs and the Arizona Cardinals. Wasn't signed by either. Not overly shocking when he came out of Maryland. The book on Tango Vailoa, Taulia, was that he was a very good college quarterback who probably didn't have the tools and the necessary traits to be an NFL quarterback. And who knows, maybe he plays in the CFL, has a very good career there. However, he's behind one of the top in CFL, I was going to say NFL, CFL quarterbacks, Bo Levi Mitchell, who threw for 300 yards in Hamilton's regular season opener. Yes, the CFL's regular season already has started. It started last week. But Hamilton lost against the Calgary Stampeders over the weekend. And so that was pretty much all the news. Again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please check out the written content on the Dolphin Fan Nation site for Sports Illustrated at si.com/NFL/Dolphins. We'll be back with one more show later in the week, unless, of course, the Dolphins make more news, in which case we'll pop back up to discuss it. Until then, Thanks for watching, and you guys have a good rest of the day, and we'll catch you later.